Hey Cardfighters, Chris here from Vanguard Central bringing you a Glendios Deck Profile. Obviously our starter is going to be World Line Dragon. For the strides, we have one Judgment Messiah. This is good for just the on-hit pressure, and if you need to like a first stride to set up the rest of your game. Basically what you would set up is Big Crunch Dragon, who's really good at locking down your opponent, and especially the Omega Lock can really be helpful with Glendios because you get to lock two, and they'll still be locked on your turn, so you can use Glendios' Limit Break to keep them locked basically forever. Next we have one Amnesty Messiah. This is for the mirror match because, as you know, Link Joker is its own worst enemy, so you want to have the one Amnesty just in case the other Link Joker deck is locking you down. And lastly we have 4 Omega Loops. 4 might seem a lot, but it's really good kind of in like a mind gamey type thing. I was playing against someone else who was running Glendios, and he thought I only had 2, so he used one of his own Amnesties earlier, but then I just Omega looped twice in a row and I got the game for that. So it's good. It's also really important. Sometimes you're going to need to use it to give your opponents locked cards, because they don't actually need anything on the field to get locked cards with Omega Loop. So like maybe in the Shadow matchup it can be really useful just to give them locked cards even if they're trying to keep their board clean. For grade 3s, we're running 4 Glendios. I like to run 4 just for that consistency. I find the deck basically doesn't work without him, so I don't see any reason to run less than that, even though some builds you see run 3, just because he's kind of useless if you get him in multiples. I just get him like the 4 because you need him or else the deck doesn't work. We have 4 Reverse Cradle. I run 4 of him because it's really useful when you stride. Having a reverse that's also a Link Joker, even when you don't have Glendios, can let you keep attacking. Even if you're going for stride plays, like say with Big Crunch. And it's also good because you can actually, you can discard Reverse Cradle to World Line, and then get another Reverse Cradle and kind of just keep going. So that can definitely be useful. He's kind of like the backup in case you don't get Glendios, but I don't really like to ever do that. Or it's not good enough that I'm willing to be run less than 4 Glendios. And then we have 5 different reverses just to help with the different named cards and whatnot, getting a lot of reverses in play. For grade 2s, we're running 4 Photon. This might seem odd, especially in Glendios, which gets a lot of free locks anyway. But the goal of this deck isn't really going for the Omega Loop play. Omega Loop is just there as a backup, and as I said, against certain matchups that get rid of their own stuff. So you're going to be able to lock them down regardless of what they do. So the reason the 4 Photon is because the game plan that you want to go for is lock their front row and keep their front row locked forever. So they basically can't put an offense against you, and you slowly just beat them down with your 21k reverse columns. We also have 3 Colony Maker, and the Colony Maker is super good for just pulling out clutch cards, teching for those grade 1 choices, getting more reverses, unflipping damage, getting on-hit effects, so whatever you need would be super good. It's also really good early game because you could call a reverse and then set up your field, applying some pressure even if you can't stride, which the deck doesn't do a lot anyway, but if someone's trying to grade lock you, it doesn't really matter because you can just lock with a reverse and then fill up your field that way. For grade 1s, we're running 4 Unflipping Perfect cards. The Unflippers are really good because you do end up using a lot of Counterblast in this deck. 1 Counterblast every turn for for Glendios' skill, and then if you want to go for the Omega Loop, it's 2 Counterblast, so you end up using a ton of Counterblast when the deck is working properly. We have 3 Rubidium, which is the Redirector. A lot of people run 4. I don't really like the 4 just because I don't find it useful in the early game, and I think 3 is enough. Even though it's probably one of the best cards in the deck, if you didn't know the ruling on it. So for Brawlers, it's really important in that matchup because it actually redirects all their attacks, because they attack 4 cards, but then you change the target. So you're changing the 4 targets to 1 target, and nice. It also stops resenders. Thingsaver needs to attack a Vanguard. Abyss needs to attack a Vanguard. Next stage needs to attack a Vanguard. So if you drop this and you redirect them to a rearguard, they're not actually attacking Vanguard anymore, so they can't use their restanding, which can really throw people, catch people off guard if they don't know about that interaction or they don't think you have Rubidium in hand. And that's really good, especially in the Shadow matchup, because they're going to commit to field thinking that they'll get rid of it, and then you're like, nope. I love saying nope. It's the best word in the game.
Nope.
We have 3 Vorium, who provides on-hit pressure and lets you keep up that steady flow of reverse cards, which the deck really needs. And I run 3 because it's super good pressure early game. It makes them want to guard your attacks, and if they don't, then you just get free cards, especially with those 21k columns, or 21k plus columns with the reverse units. Obviously, while you're on Glendios, lots of pressure coming out of this guy. And then we have 2 Ruin Magicians. I only have 2 Ruin Magicians because I don't think you need more than that. I generally only use the effect once per game anyway to keep up that flow of Omega Locks or to grab enough to do a Mega Loop. You really only tend to use him once, but if you do need him twice, you have the 2, and you can always search him up with our buddy Colony Maker. So running 2 definitely works. And then the last grade 1 is just a Tech Praesor. I don't know how to pronounce this one, but he's going to be an unflipper. We already have the unflipping perfect cards, so unflipping can be a problem, sometimes not a problem. I just like having this guy as a tech, because I can always get him with Colony Maker, and if I need to unflip to go for an Omega Loop play, then I can just surprise people by calling it, unflipping some damage, and then going for a Omega Loop out of nowhere, or while all my counterblasts are filled up. For triggers, we have 2 6 crit, as well as 6 draw. I like to have the 6-6 split just because it helps keep that offense, because as I said, we're going for like a more beatdown strategy rather than an Omega Lock, Omega Loop strategy. And having the extra crits definitely helps push for damage, while the draws help you get all the reverses you need to, effectively do your strategy. I know that some builds run 4 crit, 8 draw, and there was one build that's on like 12 draw, which is more of like an Omega Loop build in my opinion. So that's why I like the 6-6 split. I tried running 8-4 for a while. It's not as consistent just because you don't have the draw engine to get all your reverses. And lastly, the 4 heals. Hope you guys liked our Glendios deck profile. Please comment down below if you have any questions, any thoughts about the deck. Please give us a like, it helps out a lot, and subscribe for more content. Vanguard Central, out.